Looking to move to Georgetown, Texas? Well, in this video, we're going to touch on how to get around Georgetown. We're going to touch on how to get from here, how to get from there, things to do, who are some of the top employers in the city. Essentially, how do you move around town in Georgetown? And if you stick with me to the end, we'll also touch on a couple of road projects so that you know how to schedule when to get on the road, when not to get on the road during traffic hour. So with that, we're getting into it right now. Now, before we get into it, you know the drill. If this is your first time visiting the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about moving to Austin, Texas and surrounding areas, then go ahead and subscribe and tap that bell for notification so that you can be the first to know about the current market in Austin, Texas. I'm Marcus Jordan with the Premises Place Group, brokered by eXp Realty, and we hear from people just like you looking for help with their move to Austin, Texas and surrounding areas. We love hearing from you, so whether you're looking to move into an apartment, buy a home, or invest, all of our contact information is in the description below. Whether you're looking to move in 5 days or 45 days, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom call so that we can help you make a smooth move to Austin, Texas. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. Georgetown, Texas. Why are we talking about Georgetown, Texas? Well, considering that it is a surrounding area of Austin, it is also one of the fastest growing cities in the state. But I mean, you probably know that knowing Texas in general, most of the cities here are growing really, really fast. But the reason why that we're also focusing on Georgetown is that because if you haven't heard of it before, I'm sure you're going to hear of it in the future. Currently, as of July 1st, 2022, Georgetown had a population of a little over 86,000 people, right? Not a small place. Not only that, the area is about a little over 59 miles as its own city. And the reason why you're going to hear a little bit more about Georgetown in the coming days, weeks, months, and years is because Georgetown used to be known as the cute little enchanting bedroom community, right? And if you're not familiar with the term bedroom community, essentially what it is a city or an area or a community where people go home to live and sleep, but then they pick up and they drive to another city to go to work. So they come home, go to sleep, and then they go somewhere else to go to work. So you're starting to see a lot of hustle and bustle, a lot of change, a lot of development in Georgetown because they are changing and updating some of the benefits and incentives to attract bigger businesses or businesses that are already in Texas but want to just expand locations. So you're going to start hearing a little bit more about Georgetown because it is starting to grow and grow and grow, and not just to be a place where you buy a home and go to sleep and get up and have to go somewhere else, but you being able to work, live, and play all throughout the city. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the map. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen with you all here. And here we see Georgetown. Let's go ahead and move this here so we can get more of the map. And the first thing I'm typically asked by people like, okay, Marcus, where is Georgetown? Where is it at? Like, I mean, I've heard of it once or twice. What is it close to, et cetera, et cetera. And we see Georgetown is going to be a little north of Austin, Texas. And you're typically going to be around 45 minutes from Austin. So here we have Georgetown highlighted here. And then we come down through Round Rock, Pflugerville, and then you have Austin downtown here. So when we make that drive, let's bring this here just so that you can see what Google Maps says. If we were to go from Georgetown to Austin, as of right now, we are in the middle of the week, early afternoon. You're about a 40-minute drive, as you can see, right? So not terribly bad, not too far away. It's not like having to drive, 2 hours, 3 hours in order to, meet with any friends who may be visiting, downtown Austin, right? But it is close enough for you to be able to do things and get around. However, that may not be a drive you want to make during rush hour, right? Again, the time that's being shown here is, again, early afternoon. So if you start getting into the 4:30, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock p.m., that drive is going to be a little bit longer. Now, as we see here in this video, we're going to take a look at the picture here on the left. You can see it's has a very old soul, right? So a lot of times when you speak of Georgetown, you're going to hear a lot about that. You're going to hear about the historic buildings, how buildings have been around since the 1900s, but yet you have modern restaurants and, you know, a winery and, you know, a place for you to just kind of meet up with friends, modern places and historic buildings. And so that is what adds a lot to the charm of Georgetown, because it has retained that small city feel, so that you can walk around what Georgetown looked like back in the 19th century, right? Because going back, I believe it was founded in 1848. And so when you start getting into like the 20th century, like 1900s, you can see a lot of the history and the heritage of Georgetown throughout its downtown. So when it comes down to things to do, that's the first thing that we want to take you to, right? Historic downtown Georgetown. West 7th, there it is. Boom. But let's zoom out a little bit here. So here's historic Georgetown, or downtown Georgetown. I'll go ahead and get rid of this so we can get a little more map. Now, for me, I've gone to downtown Georgetown. It's a cool little spot. You want to take a Saturday or maybe even like a Friday night and just kind of park off to the side, one of the parking lots, walk around. It's something to enjoy with friends and family. And what I mean by that is, if you want to go somewhere and just hang out, chill out, just kind of like take in the day, relax, this is the place to go. If you're looking for fast, go, I'd say let's go somewhere else. But this is the area you kind of want to go to when you want to have some wind down time, right? That's where I'd recommend going if you wanted to go somewhere in Georgetown, and why you would want to go there in Georgetown, right? Right off of 35 here. 35 is going to be the main artery, main highway all through pretty much Texas, right? From one city to another. If you want to get down to Round Rock, you'll take 35. If you want to go up to Dallas, you'll take 35 here. So pretty close. If you're coming up from somewhere, or if you're visiting friends or want to visit someone who's in Georgetown, I-35 is going to get you there. Like most downtowns, you're going to have different places that you can walk to. Everything is pretty close. I just kind of want to point out, if you are downtown, if you want good pizza, I highly recommend 600 Degrees Pizza here. Yep, If you're in the mood for something sweet, maybe you're going for like a Saturday day, or maybe you're there for, you come in just for brunch, then I definitely recommend Sweet Lemon Kitchen. That's going to be a good pastry and breakfast place for you. And then there's always Blue Corn Harvest Bar and Grill. Wildfire is a good little restaurant to visit as well. Again, a couple blocks away from each other. So when I talk about it being a historic area, but you have modern places inside, these are a couple of the places that I'm referring to. So you have more than enough to do in downtown Georgetown if you just want a good place to hang out and wind down with some friends, family, or maybe just wind down with wine. Hey, to each their own. Even in the same area of downtown Georgetown, the next place I want to draw your attention to is Georgetown Palace Theater. Now, if you want live theater with a hometown feel, like, this is your place. From Broadway shows to theater and entertainment, education, just a good place to go for entertainment, find a good show, grab something to eat afterwards or before. And I mean, if you're going to go to a Broadway show, it's going to be a little bit later, so you might want to do something to eat before. But hey, whatever you're into, I know there are some people who eat dinner like at 10 o'clock at night, which is so interesting to me. But you have those options available, right? But Georgetown Palace Theater is going to be your live theater fix if you're in that area. So definitely check it out. And then The last kind of thing to do, and of course there are many things to do in Georgetown. I just want to touch on just on two or three, just so you have an idea of like, hey, what can I do if I'm here for a day? What can I do if I'm here for a weekend, right? So please don't think that this is the extent of the options you have in Georgetown, but these are just some quick places for you to go to in case you have a short trip. And that the next place I want to touch on is Inner Space Cavern. Now, Inner Space Cavern is probably one of the best preserved caves in Texas. And if I just freaked you out because you're like, there are caves in Texas? Yes, absolutely. As you obviously, as you can see. But again, this is in Georgetown. You're 20 minutes away if you're from Round Rock. You're 40 minutes away, 45 minutes away if you're in Austin, Texas. I know there are different times that they're open. I know they are currently undergoing some type of renovations at the time of this filming, being in August 2023. So please visit their website for updated hours and availability, because I'd hate for you to plan to come down here and then you show up and it's closed, right? So Inner Space Cavern, again, pretty close to the highway. There's that I-35, but it is a little bit from downtown, not as close as a quick walk down a couple of blocks, but 7-10 minute drive south of downtown Georgetown. So hop in a car, hop in an Uber if you're already downtown, or if you're coming up before you get to downtown Georgetown, you can make a stop by there and then maybe finish off the rest of your day, evening, weekend, what have you, in downtown Georgetown. So definitely check out Inner Space Cavern. Again, please check the website to make sure that they are open. I do know they're going through some type of renovation, some type of update right now. So please check availability before you show up. So we touched on a couple of things that you can do. We talked about different places that you can visit, right? Historic downtown Georgetown, going to Georgetown Palace Theater, as well as a couple of restaurants in that area. And then also touched on Inner Space Caverns if you want to go see some underground caves here in Texas. But that's all good and well to do if you're visiting, but if you're living here and you're looking for a place to earn the money to do those things, like, what are your options? We're going to hit on 3 top employers that are actually based in Georgetown. The first one that we're going to touch on is Airborne Incorporated. Now, where is Airborne in comparison to downtown Georgetown? Boom. Close to the caves. Right south of historic Georgetown. And I keep saying historic in downtown Georgetown because that's just what it's always been branded as. So if you hear that a lot, not just from me but from anyone, that's the reason why, right? They have buildings around since 1800s, or excuse me, that's when it was established. The buildings may have come a little bit afterwards, but downtown Georgetown is just north of Airborne Incorporated. Airborne is one of the larger employers in Georgetown. And if you're wondering, okay, Marcus, well, what is Airborne Incorporated? Airborne designs and manufactures like rugged connectors and accessories for defense, space, medical, aerospace, and industrial industries, right? So they're the ones that make the parts that keep things together so that they can work as they need to work, right? In short and in summary. And that's Airborne without an E at the end, for those who may be familiar with adding the E there. You have them spot on here. Now, again, this is drive time in the middle of the week, around early afternoon. So if we were to say, let's depart at, let's call it 4:30. What would that time be? Since it's so close, I didn't expect for it to be too much of a difference. But if you are living, let's say, a little more north of downtown Georgetown, you may be a bit further. So here, let's just pick HEB. If you're not familiar with HEB, HEB is the grocer here in Texas, period. Best grocery store ever. And so HEBs are typically going to be near where people live. So let's just kind of use that as an example. If you lived a little more north, you don't live in downtown Georgetown. If you were to leave now, about 15 minutes, right? But now let's use the same time that we said earlier. We said 4:30. All right, now you see it's a little bit of a difference, right? Now we're going from around 15 minutes to up to about 22, maybe 25 minutes, right? Let's go ahead and make that 5:30 today. A couple more minutes, but now you're starting to get more into the 30-minute range, right? So the point that I'm trying to make is your distance and the time that you leave will make a very big impact on how much time you'll spend on the road if you're driving a personal vehicle, right? So just something to account for, something I want to share and hopefully bring to your awareness. So if you're doing any planning, either you're moving or you're visiting for a little bit and you're trying to think about, well, how long is it going to take me to get certain places? This is where we're going through these examples, right? So we have airborne. Let's go on to another top employer, right? We're going to go with St. David's Hospital. I cannot speak today. As you can see, we kept the 5:30 time, right, for later today, but it's not too far from airborne, right? You're looking at probably saving about 5 minutes, right? If you are working from a hospital. And just for those who don't know, St. David's has multiple locations throughout Texas. The St. David's Georgetown is a hospital and medical facility with over 100 beds, right? So it does employ a good amount of individuals. So if you are looking for an employer in the medical field, St. David's could be an option for your consideration. But we see that we save a couple of minutes, but where is St. David's in comparison to airborne, right? Maybe you're meeting up with a friend afterwards. Boom, quick and easy. You're about 2 miles away, right? Depending on your route, a little over 2 miles, 2.3 as we see here. Again, this is all leaving at 5:30. Now, let's just say we're departing now. How does that change? Doesn't very much, 5-6 minutes, right? Which then leads us to the third employer. And again, this is not the third largest, but this is one of the larger employers here in Georgetown, Chatsworth Products. Now, we have that from St. David's, and we see that's also right around same area, 2 miles. But let's go back to the HEB that we were using as a point of reference, right? It gives us about the same amount of drive time leaving now. Again, remember, we've been playing with the different times that we're leaving. We've been playing with 4:30, 5:30. Right now it's about 2:30 Central Time. So you're looking 14, 15 minutes. One thing I want to draw our attention to is that when we're looking at some of these larger employers, they all seem to be centrally located south of downtown Georgetown, right? So when you're looking at different jobs and you're looking at different opportunities that may be available, also take a look at where are they located. Are they located near something that's pretty populated, downtown Georgetown, or I would say dense with, things to do, food places, entertainment places? Or are you going to be a little bit further out, let's say around here, maybe with your employer, and you're going to be around a little bit more nature, a little more greenery, you're a short drive from, a lake perhaps, or maybe a green belt or anything like that. So when you're looking at different job opportunities, where is it located within the city so that you can choose the drive time. How far is it going to be from where you want to live, or where you are living, from where you want to be, or where you will be moving? A lot of those things, a lot of those variables are highly important so that you can understand your commutes and your transportation and the time it takes to get in between, one place or the other. Okay. So we touched on 3 large employers located in Georgetown, Texas. Now, these are not the 3 largest, but they are 3 of the largest employers, right? And that was Airborne Incorporated, that was St. David's Hospital, Georgetown, and then that was Chatsworth Products, right? And when we take a look at employers and we take a look at things to do, the next natural question is like, well, okay, Marcus, well, if I need to go visit someone somewhere else, or if I'm working, let's say I'm working in, Leander, but the home that I found in Georgetown was just too good to pass up, and I just need to commute for a little bit until I can find something in Georgetown, like, what does that look like? Don't worry, got you covered. So when we take a look at, let's just put in Leander since we mentioned that. And as you see, we still have Chatsworth Products in there. And just in case I didn't touch on it, you may say, well, Marcus, what's Chatsworth? Chatsworth is actually a company that provides data center solutions through products and services, right? So if you're looking at, if you're working for a company that actually invests in physical servers and physical data centers, then they offer solutions for that particular industry. But as you see, if you are working, say, at Chatsworth, you're about a 20-minute drive for leaving right now, which is early afternoon, middle of the week, okay? But if we go and we look at, say, if we left at 4:40, now your trip could double, okay? So I want to show this example, because if you are working in Georgetown, but having to live elsewhere, but I know we kind of switched it up. I know earlier we said, well, hey, I'm working in Leander, but I'm living in Georgetown. We're still seeing some of the distances. So I might have flip-flopped the example there, but I hope this still, shows the point, right? When you leave and where you are will determine the amount of time it takes to get from one place or the other. But I do want to compare, apples to apples. So we are considering one city through Leander. So let's put in the other city, Georgetown. Now, obviously what we're putting in here, we're really just getting downtown to downtown, or what is considered a downtown for each of these cities. But still, respectively, the drive is going to be similar, right? Whether you're living more north, Leander, working more north Leander, living in Georgetown, most of the times that drive is going to be comparable. But what I want to draw your attention to is you're seeing there's a route here through taking 2243, but you also have the Highway 29 over here that can connect you from Georgetown over to the Leander area, right? Now, that's what's going to connect you east and west, depending on where you are. Let's go a little more north here. As you can see, it's a little more open out there. You have a lot of smaller roads, but your main connector between east and west in those cities is going to be Highway 29. And then if you want to go more north and south, you're going to have I-35, which we talked about earlier, but you're also going to have 183 here. Okay. Now, Marcus, this is about Georgetown, and you're talking about Leander and 35. Like, just seems to be going all over the place. Like, why are you bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because a lot of times, if you're living more north, it may bring you south. Let's move over here. If you're living, say, in this area, it may make the directions may take you down 35, hit 29, right? Come over until you hit 183. So what I'm wanting you to see is just the connecting highways based on where you're going. So if you start looking at, okay, well, how do I get from here to there, or how do I get from there to here? These are going to be the highways that are typically going to connect you, because remember, these are two areas that are growing. Okay, so when you're making that move, you're moving to an area that is growing. So a lot of roads, a lot of infrastructure is still being not necessarily put in place, but for the existing roads, some of them are still being upgraded. Some of them are still being repaved. Some of them are being relaid. So right now, your options to get from one place to the other are still being developed. Okay. When you start going a little more south, you'll start seeing more options, right? So Round Rock being right here, Cedar Park being right here. Again, a little more south. Round Rock's a little more south, as we see here, than Georgetown. Cedar Park's a little more south than Leander. But now you're also looking at Highway 45, which, also is a toll. So you may come down 35 here, connect 45 to get over, come up 183 if you're going to Cedar Park. And you may be looking at Cedar Park because Cedar Park, again, like we said 100 times, is also growing. But I know HEB has like actually has like an event. I don't want to call it a stadium, but they have like an event center in Cedar Park, right? So driving and traveling may not be too far out of your future if you are in any of these areas, right? So going back up to Georgetown, you also have, now here's 29, right, connecting, but you also have I-30, which is also toll here to the east of Georgetown. Why is that important? Because I-35, I'm looking at 35, but we've been talking about 35, but I'm looking at I-30. Highway I-30 can also connect you to Hutto as well as to Round Rock, taking 79 right here, right? And I'm keeping this big on purpose because I want you to be able to see it in relation. I-30 also comes all the way down to Austin, Texas. Yeah, Pflugerville, well, we don't need to do that. We can just zoom out so you can see what I'm saying. So here we have Georgetown. If you were to take I-30, which is more to the east, it comes all the way down. Then you can hit the Manor area there. Come on over. There's Austin. Right there. I-30 all the way down. So I know it looks like we're jumping, but I want to show you what was to the west of Georgetown, what's also to the east. So if you do need to travel south, and I'm saying south, obviously you can travel north, but now you're starting to go up towards, Waco, up towards Fort Worth, up towards Dallas. So that's why we're talking more south. If you do need to travel south, you do have other options other than just Highway 35, because 35, that can be a bit of an experience. Yes, that's what we'll call it. We won't call it backed up traffic depending on where you go. We're going to call it a bit of an experience, right? So you do have other options at your disposal if you need to go anywhere else, south or to the west or to the east of Georgetown. Okay, so we went through a lot there. We touched on a lot of things and you stuck with me. So I appreciate that. And since you stuck with me to the end, we're going to jump into a couple of road construction projects that are currently happening in Georgetown so that you can be aware of what's happening. If you need to kind of plan alternate routes, you can totally do that. There are two specific projects I just want to bring to your attention, and I'll go ahead and share my screen so that you can see that now. Now, the first road project I want to bring to your attention is the widening or the expansion of DB Wood Road, okay? Now, as we can see, it's highlighted by this red line here, and that is a stretch of about 1.4 miles of a current 2-lane, going to be expanding it from a 2-lane to a 4-lane road, okay? Let's zoom out just a bit here so you can see where that is exactly on the map. And as you see, we kind of touched on the HEB close to Lake Georgetown here in the early part of our video. So that is going to be real near, right? to what we referenced before. As you see, there's Highway 29. So that's a pretty good amount of road. Again, about a little under 1.5 miles. The project's design will actually make it a major arterial road. So instead of it being two lane, it can actually be one of the main roads here in the near future. If you're looking at how that might impact you, again, we touched on a little bit of downtown Georgetown we have right here. So you're not going to be too far away from that. If you're having to make, a trip, west and then north, or going northwest, you're right here by 35. So hopefully once this is done, some individuals will may be able to take it to detour some of the traffic and alleviate some of the congestion that's currently being seen in that area right now. The second project I want to bring your attention to is the Austin Avenue Bridge project. With this bridge project, there's going to be some lane closures. There's going to be some temporary access changes, right? Let's go ahead and zoom out so you can see where that is. But the bridge is actually going to be over the San Gabriel River. Again, close to 35, right? One of the major highways going throughout the state. So if you need to plan it, let's zoom out a little bit more so we can see where that is in comparison. Here is the DB Woods right here. And here's the Austin Avenue Bridge rehabilitation project that's happening. Now, why are we pointing this out? Marcus, it's a bridge rehabilitation. I'm not crossing over any bridges. Like, why do I need to know about that? Because of the lane closures and the temporary access changes, that may impact some of the free flow and traffic in that vicinity, right? So if you are having to, let's zoom in, if you're having to drive around or near it, there we go. A road or two that you're currently using may be redirected or cut off completely. So that's why I wanted to bring it to your attention, because it is so close to Highway 35 right here. Whenever you're near anything near Highway 35, the slightest change can cause a pretty big impact. So just wanted to bring that to your attention as well. And with both of those projects being pretty close to each other, probably within 2 miles, you're probably going to see a little bit of traffic fluctuation in both areas. So that may cause a little bit of some reworking here in the middle, maybe on the sides of each, as far as traffic, how traffic flows, as people try to find alternate routes or try to change the route or find a new route, or using apps to try to go this way and that. So just a heads up that might be a little interesting in the beginning, but once you find your route, I'm pretty sure it will be just as smooth, just as easy as it can be anyway with road construction. But I just wanted to give you a heads up right now so that you can plan beforehand without having to figure it out in the middle of trying to get home. Like, oh crap, I forgot I forgot this was happening. We want to give it to you first. So with that is it. That wraps it up. We talked about Georgetown, historic downtown Georgetown, things to do in downtown Georgetown. What are some of the top employers in Georgetown? How do I get from maybe one city to another city from Georgetown, Marcus? What freeways, highways can I take to go to get to this place or to that place? We cover that. And then, because you stuck with me, we also went through 2 road construction projects that are happening in Georgetown as we speak, so that you can discover or reevaluate alternate routes to get to where you want to be. So I hope today has been helpful. Hope it's been insightful. If I've missed anything, or if you want me to touch on something a little bit further in future video, please leave it in a comment. I'm happy to do so. Want to make sure that I'm providing the most value for you, and that this is actually helping you in your everyday life if you're already in Texas or in Georgetown, or will help you once you get here if you're considering moving. And with that, you have been awesome. Thank you for your time. And until I see you and you see me again, stay amazing, stay awesome, subscribe, tap the bell for notification, and I'll see you on the next one.